Hello, everyone. Welcome to our February gsLive. I had to think about that for a second. Seems like 2021 is flying by. I am Michaela. I'm the Director of Volunteer Development, so I am here to be in the background to help make sure all of your questions get answered tonight and everything goes smoothly. So I'm just going to kick it off by going through our agenda, our February agenda, actually. So ignore where it says January. First, we are going to go through an awesome speaker. We have Martha Wells on tonight to talk about some tax ideas and different tax information for volunteers. Then we'll go through some marketing ideas for cookie sellers with Leanna Smith and Vanessa Simmons. And then we will wrap it up with some council updates. So I am going to go ahead and welcome Martha Wells. Martha is an accountant and owner of Wells Accounting Services. She's been preparing tax returns since 1984. She received a Bachelor of Business Administration, majoring in accounting from the University of Cincinnati, and holds the certificate of an enrolled agent. An EA is a tax professional who has passed an Internal Revenue Service test covering all aspects of taxation. In addition to accounting and tax services, Martha also provides QuickBooks consultations and training, and she's the mother of 4 adult children and the grandmother of 1 beautiful granddaughter. So Martha, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to you, and I will get your PowerPoint up on the screen.
Okay, thank you, Michaela.
All right, is everyone able to see your screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Martha. I'm so excited to hear this from you.
All right, thank you. I am going to be sharing the tax benefits of volunteering. So a couple years ago in 2018, the tax law changed. So the biggest thing is for most people is that they don't itemize anymore. They use a standard deduction. So some of this stuff that I'm sharing with you would have been really important before 2018. But as one thing we know, tax laws always change. So I would recommend that even though you may not have the benefit of keeping track of your mileage and getting the benefit of that this year, the tax laws get changed. A lot of times it's November, December. It's very good and handy to have records for all your volunteer expenses through the year and accumulate them throughout the year, because who knows, you might be able to itemize again, or maybe you do itemize. Next slide, please. Michaela, next slide.
Is it not? There might be a lag.
All right.
Showing up on my screen, this might be taking a while.
Okay, sorry. All right, so this screen is a little blurry, but this is from the IRS publication. There is a document, you can find it online, it's called Publication 526, and it has all sorts of things about deductions, charitable deductions. In particular, these are questions that they have as examples from volunteers. For example, I volunteer 6 hours a week in the office of a qualified organization. A receptionist is paid $10 an hour for the same work. Can I deduct $60 a week for my time? No, you can't deduct the value of your services, not your time. The office is 30 miles from my home. Can I deduct any of my car expenses for these trips? Yes, you can. So this cutout that I have here is, we're going to talk a little bit more in better depth and in clearer notes. So next slide. We'll see, there we go. There are 5 types of deductions that are very common. You can, for a donation, you can deduct the cash or checks, or if you donate property of something tangible, stuff, like people take things to Goodwill, or canned goods or physical supplies. There's also out-of-pocket expenses that you might have because you do volunteer work. Specifically, we're going to talk the rest of the time as a volunteer in the Girl Scouts. So as a leader or a volunteer as to the organization itself. So any out-of-pocket expenses you have. Wearing a uniform. Uniforms are considered not everyday work or clothing. So that means the uniform that you have for a leader, the proper dress uniform for a leader, is a deduction. The purchase price of that is a receipt that you can keep. And then the cost of driving to and from events, all the volunteering. And so basically going to council to pick up supplies, going on a trip, going to meet, to go to with your troop. Any event that you do is going to be a deduction that you can do. Next slide, please. There are some types of expenses that you cannot deduct. We already mentioned the value of your time, but there's also the babysitting costs. Let's say you had to pay a babysitter to take care of your children while you volunteer. Maybe you've gone for some training, or maybe you're taking the troops someplace and you have a babysitter. You cannot deduct that. The dues and the memberships that you pay to be part of the organization, not a deduction. And here's a little bit of a tricky one. You can't make a contribution for a specific individual. So you can't make a donation to the Girl Scouts of America and then specify that it goes to a particular troop or it goes on behalf of a particular person. You can't do that be the beneficiary of your donation. Now, you can make a donation to a troop, it'd be made out to GSA, but you can't get any benefit. So think of a grandmother, an aunt, a cousin, that type of thing, someone who's not having a direct benefit. Next slide, please. Driving expenses is the big one for most people. You have two options here. One, you can take the actual cost of gas or an oil change, or you can take 14 cents a mile. The gas, if you're doing a gas, I would make sure you fill up your tank before the road trip. And I'm assuming it'd be a road trip. So you fill up your tank, and then when you refill the tank, that's the receipt you want to keep track of. The really cool thing for those of you who are in Iowa is that Iowa allows an extra 25 cents a mile. So whereas the federal only has 14 cents a mile for deduction, Iowa allows 25 cents a mile, or I'm sorry, a total of 39 cents a mile. And here's another thing that I have to keep reminding people. In Iowa, even if you don't itemize on the federal, a lot of times you can itemize on the state. So all of this stuff that I'm talking about, keeping track of your expenses, whereas it may not help you on the federal, it will in Iowa on your state return. I'm sorry to say that in Illinois, it won't, because Illinois doesn't allow you to itemize. But you guys have the benefit of having a lower tax rate. So there's some trade-offs. Okay, so in addition to mileage, you can also take parking. Let's say you and the girls go to Chicago and you've got parking in the city of Chicago, or you had tolls on I-88 on your way over there. So all those expenses are something that you can keep track of and deduct. You cannot deduct the insurance for your car. You cannot depreciate your car. And the biggest thing is if you are reimbursed by either council or your troop or reimbursed in any way, you cannot take the deduction. Next slide. Okay, there's times when you travel as a volunteer and that you must go away overnight. You're allowed to take the reasonable payments for meals and for lodging and transportation if it's necessary. So the transportation could be plane ticket, it could be flying, driving, train, whatever. You cannot take these expenses if there is a significant element of pleasure, personal pleasure, recreation, or vacation. So if you plan a trip down to Disney World and only 3 girls can go, so it ends up being your family, another family, and you've taken another girl along as the third, that's not a trip. There's lots of vacation in that. There's a lot of personal pleasure. That doesn't work. You can't write that off as a volunteer donation. But on the other hand, just because you enjoy your volunteer time, that doesn't rule it out as a deduction. Let's say you have an older troop and you have planned this fantastic trip to hike the Appalachian Trail, and you have thoroughly enjoyed. You've enjoyed the trip there, you've enjoyed the camping and the beauty of the Appalachian Mountains. That doesn't mean you can't deduct your out-of-pocket costs for that, because you still provided the expenses, and it doesn't matter that you enjoyed it. It's part of the your cost of your volunteering. Next slide, please.
So before we go over to the next slide, we actually do have a question in the question log, and that is, do troop leaders have to turn in a gas receipt, or could they turn in a list that shows the mileage?
They should keep these records themselves, and they should keep the gas receipt or the mileage, whichever way they're keeping track. And like if I had a gas receipt, I would write on the gas receipt, trip to Des Moines to see the state capitol. Or if I had my mileage log, I would just keep a record of each reason, the date, the length of the trip, and the reason for the trip.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, so there's some things I want to point out. There are times when you have, in fundraisers, and this is Girl Scouts, but this is every nonprofit. They have silent auctions, they have special dinners, they have special events where you pay a little bit more. It's a fundraiser. I mean, the organizations are nonprofits. They need to have the funds come in. So if you make a donation and you receive a benefit, like food, entertainment, merchandise, you can only take the deduction that's more than the benefit. And the examples that they give are, if you pay $110 for a $100 gift card at a silent auction, you only get to deduct $10 because you got some value there. They have a dinner for the leaders, or they're having a fundraiser dinner, and it's $75 a plate. Well, the value of the meal is $35. The donation is only $40. Okay, usually on a dinner or a weekend, some type of event like that, on the ticket there is a value placed, a cash value of this event. Likewise, though, you pay $20 for cookies, for those cookies to be given to a retirement home or to be sent to the troops. You did not receive anything, so your donation is $20. So did you get something or did not get something? Okay, next slide. This leads a lot of times to the question is, are cookies tax deductible? And there is a, okay, tax code and tax talk, something called the IRS Rev Proc 90-12. That says that the organization has to tell you what the value is so that you know how much to deduct. Well, that's a problem for a lot of organizations. So if you go to the website for the Girl Scouts, they will say that a box of cookies is a fair market price and there is no donation value unless you buy the box to be given, like I said, the retirement home, the troops, for somebody else, or you just pay some money and don't take the cookie. However, the IRS code does say there is cost. Your donation is the amount above the cost. And on this How the Cookie Crumbles sheet, there's a percentage. I'm going to point to my screen, which is going to help you nothing. So, but on this thing, it has 19% goes towards troop proceeds and girls rewards. 21% goes towards the Girl Scout cookie program and the baker cost. So I took that 21%, multiplied it by the $5, and came up with $1.05, which is the cost of the cookie, which means $3.95 is a donation. Next slide, please. So this picture is from your council's magazine. I went on the website and just typed in Girl Scout cookies, and I got this from the Northern and Central California Council, and they actually don't have the percentages broken down. They have the dollar value broken down. Still $5, but their very first one is cost of cookies, $1. I calculated $1.05. You round this stuff, either way, $4 is a donation. So where is the official stance from the Girl Scouts is it's a fair market value, no donation. I do believe, and you should really talk to your tax preparer, but there is value in taking $4. You buy 10 boxes of cookies, that's $40. So it's worth that donation part. So next slide, please. The last thing I really want to say is that documentation to all of this is key. When you're driving, as the question was, how do we keep track of this? Keep a log, keep a notebook, write on your calendar. This is what we did, this is the date, this is the distance. You can go back and reconstruct it using Google Maps. You could use something like Mile IQ, which is an app on your phone. Keep gas receipts. That's for the driving and the mileage. Out-of-pocket cost. You bought supplies that the troop just couldn't afford to reimburse you for, but you still needed the glue sticks, you needed the glitter, you needed the elastic. Keep the receipts. Keep the receipts in a folder system. Anything to keep the receipts works. The IRS will accept digital copies if they ask for them. So you can just take pictures of them. Your credit card statement is not enough. You need to save the actual receipts. Other documentation. We all have a phone. And our phone is a camera. Take a picture of the odometer when it's the beginning of a big trip. Keep track of cleared checks that was proof that you paid it. Keep the receipts. All these things you just need to hold on to for at least 3 years. Have them if the IRS asks for them. You don't have to turn them in anywhere, but it's documentation to prove your charitable donation. Next slide. Most of all, I just want to make sure that you know that we are thanking you for your times and talents. As a mother and as seeing how scouting has affected my kids, you guys have impacts on the girls in your troop more than you ever will know. And I know that you hear this, but I want you to hear it again. You guys are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Martha. That was a really great presentation and a really good breakdown of what troop leaders can do to take advantage of tax purposes for their Girl Scout troop. If there are any more questions that come into the question log, I will definitely let you know. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Marilyn to welcome Vanessa and Leanna.
Good evening. I'm Marilyn Askelson. I'm Director of Product Program for Girl Scouts of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois. Before we chat with Vanessa and Leanna, I did want to remind you that we have some nice weather coming up this weekend. So hopefully that means we can get out and about with our booth sales. I wanted to give you an update and let you know that we do have some Walmarts in there now. So check that out to see if you can find a Walmart in your area that's available for booth sales. So besides having the in-person options, we have some great options as far as some cookie trailers in the Quad Cities area, which is a little different. We also have a drive-through booth option in Cedar Rapids at the Fleet Farm. So those are some cool new options we have this year. We also have available guides to make sure that you're able to hold those booths safely. So check out our website to find our safety tips on holding in-person booth sales. We also have plenty of information about handling or having virtual booth sales. Lots of troops out there, especially with the cold weather the last couple of weekends, have been able to host virtual booth sales and do safe contactless deliveries to their customers. So there's plenty of information on our website, so go ahead and check that out, and fingers crossed for good weather this weekend. Next, I want to welcome Leanna and her daughter Vanessa. They are going to talk to us a little bit about this year's cookie program. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about cookies this year.
Okay.
So how is the cookie program going this year for you?
I think it's going pretty good, but it can be hard sometimes because of Corona.
Yeah. Is there, so what are some things that you've had to do differently because of the COVID virus?
Usually when I go door to door, I wear like my face mask and my face shield and stuff like that, and I make sure to wear gloves.
Good. Those are good tips. Good tips out there for the rest of us.
And she's utilized the digital cookie a lot more this year. Like her sales online have increased significantly versus the previous years.
How do you feel the digital cookie is going? Have you had an easy time using it? How do you feel about it?
I think it's going pretty good. I've had an easy time using it.
Good. That's great to hear. So digital cookie, you're using a safety mask. So what's working best for you for selling cookies? Is it the digital cookie, or is there something else that you're doing that's working really well for you?
The digital cookie and the commercial that I did.
So tell me a little bit about that. I heard that you were on a local TV station talking about Girl Scout cookies. Tell me about that. How did that go?
I think it went pretty good. I was really nervous.
What kinds of questions did they ask you?
They asked like what I've done differently.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like what we're talking about here on this call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was this your first time on TV then? You said you were a little nervous.
No, it wasn't. When I was a little kid, I went on TV.
Did you really? Wow, that's great. You must have a real talent for this. What's your goal for selling cookies this year?
I just want to do better than what I did last year.
Okay, that's a good goal. Do you set a long-term goal, like what you want to accomplish by the end of the sale, or do you kind of break it up and do smaller goals as you go?
It just depends. Like this time, I might break it up into smaller goals.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of step by step, kind of see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa, this is Claudia. I'm sorry, Marilyn. I just wanted to ask her more about that commercial that she did.
Oh, okay.
On the list or not, but that was why she was on the TV show. So so that's why I was wondering, what gave you the idea, and how was your commercial? What was that like?
You still there?
I'm sorry, we hit the mute button by accident.
Oh.
I did the commercial because I wanted to try to increase my sales.
So have you gotten any feedback? Has anybody, friends or relatives or customers, did they recognize you from being on TV?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Did it help increase your sales then, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I got a lot more like online sales and stuff.
Oh, that's great. Are you sending out emails to customers? Are you posting your link? How are you getting some of those online sales?
I'm sending emails and I'm posting out like my link and stuff.
That's great. So are you doing a lot of delivery, or do you have a lot of customers that try to get the cookie shipped to them?
Both.
Both. And do you have any advice for older girls who are selling cookies?
Um, just to try to do better than what you did last year. Like,
Just try
don't,
to keep improving.
yeah.
Do you sell any,
Tonight.
do you sell any cookies to your friends at school?
Yep.
Yeah. I heard that's a pretty good way of selling cookies. Those high school kids like to buy cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us about the cookie program, or anything different that you've seen that works pretty well for you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to talk with us. Leanna, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I don't know. Like, I feel like people should really utilize the online platform, give it more of a chance if they haven't, because like Nessa mentioned, it really helped her out a lot this year, considering we're not doing a whole lot of in-person sales. Um, she didn't mention it, but she was sending out emails at the start of it just to let her previous customers know that, cookie sales is starting. And then we go in and check everything often, and then she sends out like the thank you emails and the reminder emails to let people know that, we're still selling cookies, or that she's still selling. So yeah.
Those are great strategies. And I think that I know that we've always heard that girls can really increase their sales when they're doing those thank you notes, and they're touching base with customers from previous years, and even touching base with customers that you've already sold to, a few
Yeah.
weeks later, because they're ready for some more. So
Yeah, and then I work with her too on like her presentation when she's delivering her cookies, or if I'm taking cookies to work. Like, she has bags that are decorated, and there's a QR code that we generated, and she put in a thank you card. So those types of things that'll make it easier for people that want to reorder. We do a lot of that type of stuff.
oh, those are great tips. I love the QR code and the thank you note, so those customers can jump right on there and get some more if they want.
Yes.
So yeah. Are you guys doing contactless deliveries then for some of those
Yes.
orders that you're taking?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Well, you guys gave us some really, really good tips. I think everybody will find this beneficial. Sounds like you are a cookie pro, especially since you've been on TV a couple of times. So I really appreciate your time
Yeah,
this evening. Thank you
this
so
is
much,
our ninth
ladies.
year, so
Wow, that's impressive. That's great. I'm really proud of you. Keep up the
thanks.
good work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I think that's all for me.
All right, I'm trying to get my camera on here, and we've got upcoming events here. Hi, I'm Claudia Reich, Senior Director of Volunteer Development. Thank you all for coming on this evening, and thank you to Martha and Leanna, and I think you said Nessa. Is that your nickname? I was calling her Vanessa. So thank you for coming on this evening. Just briefly, what's coming up for March? We have 3 virtual journeys coming up. The Daisy virtual journey is March 4th. And then in between the Girl Scout Week events is the Brownie virtual journey and the Junior virtual journey on March 10th and March 11th. Now, the Daisy one is a one-time that's going to be done all in one day, but that they're on. So that's a one-time day. The Brownie and Juniors is going to be in 4 sessions. So just so that you know, a little more involved in those. But go on our website, they're all there. What's really going to be fun for all of us is that there are activities throughout the week for Girl Scout Week. Starting on March 7th, they're going to be making the original Girl Scout cookie. On the 8th, which is Monday, they'll be making retro crafts. Tuesday, at-home STEM activities. Then we've got the Brownie Journey, the first one and the junior one in there on those 2 dates. And then on Friday, actual birthday as a cupcake swap. That should be interesting. And on Saturday, there's the Girl Scout game night. So just a lot of fun. And all of the Girl Scout week activities are free. So get signed up and be a part of it as many nights as you can. The girls will have a great time. Just a reminder, annual meeting is coming up March 18th. Michaela's going to put the link to register in the chat room for you. So if you want to grab that before you get off tonight. And we'll be voting on our new board members or existing ones that are signing up. But it's all that's on that website that you'll be getting. And also Leading the Way and Honoring Excellence is on April 10th. Both of them will be virtual as well. And you can register to get the link to be able to watch the 2 programs. They're Leading the Way is at 10, Honoring Excellence is at 2, those same days. So check out, every time, check out the website for other events that are coming up. Always some great things that the program department has. I'm not quite sure if there's a message coming, Michaela, or not.
That is just the chat that I put out to everyone about the link.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. As is always my pleasure before we sign off is to give out some door prizes. So I will, let's see, I'm going to get my first one here. I am going to have a coffee mug. Can you see it here? Look at that. It's a nice coffee mug, nice good size to it. And let's see, Tanya Price, that's going to go to you. And the other thing I have is, since the holiday will be coming, St. Patrick's Day, we always have a nice holiday in March coming up. So we've got a little board here for someone, and that lucky winner is Marie Harmon. And we will be getting these out to you or having them in the office for you to pick up. And I want to say thank you again for everybody for coming. Is there any other comments or questions, Michaela?
Nope, we don't have any other questions. I think we got lots of other questions answered, but both Tanya and Maria say woohoo and thanks.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming on, and we will see you next month.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.